to be here.
So let's start off with the fact that we are about, 25 days away from this election. You are one of the first candidates to ever hop in this election when Representative Joe Kennedy III was still running. How do you feel right now as we are now coming to the conclusion? And how does your campaign feel? I mean, you are one of the head starters of this.
Well, we're definitely the leading progressive campaign in the field. We've been here for over 15 months. We have put together a multiracial, multi-generational movement with big endorsements from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, to Congressman Carson, to Orma, to Boston DSA, Progressive Needham, Progressive Milford, Nika Alaguardo, and more council people, and also leaders in the organizational space from indigenous communities, from Black Lives Matter movement, and more. The time that we have spent on this campaign, building this coalition, has brought us to where right now, in the leadership, to beating the ex-Republican in the race, and to being in the leadership of the progressive movement, as we truly bring representation to a district that's been denied representation for a long time.
Well,
The representation in our districts has been sold to corporate PACs and lobbyists. And this is our first chance to elect someone who's got the people's back at 100%.
I do want to press on that for a minute here, because the truth of the matter is that Massachusetts 4 is, I believe, the whitest district in the entire Commonwealth. Only with, I believe, Massachusetts 1 or 2 beating it. Now, you are running on a campaign of multiracial organizers and leaders. Now, it might be hard to come across finding that representation in this district. So how do you get that message across to those who have a hard time sometimes relating to those multiracial connections?
Well, you've brought up a really interesting topic and a topic of our time, which is race and representation and racial justice. In that, if we're going to look at a district and say that's a white district, I think we're being racist. I think that we should look at the districts and say, in this district, we have a progressive, a interracial, intergenerational population. We have people who are diverse and courageous and who have been serving the community in every corner, being white, being Black, being brown, being indigenous, being LGBTQ, being immigrants, born here, not born here. We have so much deep history in this district, especially of immigrants who have come here to build, from different Jewish people who came here, to Irish people, people from the Azores, people from Pakistan, people from Morocco, people from different parts of the world who came to this district and have been building for generations. So putting a blanket of whites is something that was created to divide our people. And that's what we're going against. We're going against division, and we're going against putting big people in a specific box. And we're building a coalition that brings solidarity amongst all racial groups so that we can build that America we dream of.
Right. Just to understand here, I am only talking about the data points. I understand that Massachusetts 4 is incredibly diverse, from those who are Jewish in Brookline to those who are Portuguese in Fall River. This is just the data that is provided to me. Now, going off of that, Massachusetts 4th, I think, has been a district that has been not very reported on in terms of the people running in it, as well as the news behind it. I went to an event today with many voters, and they still don't know all the people running in Massachusetts 4th. They are talking about the Senate race, and even the race in Massachusetts 1, which is way, way west of us. And we are in a crunch time now for not just the Democratic candidates, but for the Republican candidates. So what is your plan to really get that name recognition out and really spearhead getting voters to say, oh, that's Ihsanne Leckey. Oh, I like what she does. So what is your goal there?
Yeah, and so that's exactly what we've been doing and working on, is reaching out deep in community, making sure that we are listening to our voters, and to the people who need our help the most. And look, my platform has been a reflection of what the people in this district need and want. Them over the past 15 months on this campaign. People in our current political sphere, they are thirsty for challenge. They love hearing that somebody is going to beat somebody and get them out of office, right? And the thing that we need to realize, especially for the progressive movement, is that in open races, it's a low-hanging fruit. We have a really strong shot at winning this campaign on September 1st because of the coalition that we have been able to build, and because we have the resources to be able to reach the communities who are more far and remote in this district. This district doesn't just have Brookline and Newton where there is higher population density, but there are farmers in far remote areas in this district, areas where they and when we have to make sure we get mail to them, or we have to make sure that we come to where they are with social distancing, especially during COVID. We have to make sure that we can run ads so that we can reach out to people and build that name recognition. And that's how we've been running this campaign. A lot of field, a lot of coalition, and a lot of ads so that we can target and build on that.
I do have a report that you did release an ad for, I believe it's the Boston and the Providence area. So you're covering that's not saying, killing two birds with one stone here. Do you plan to do any more local ads? I know Jake Auchincloss and Alan Casey have been thinking about doing that. We saw one in New Bedford. Have you been thinking about, as you said, reaching out to those remote places in the district?
Yeah, so we do have our own strategy, and are reaching out to the voters who aren't, haven't been brought into the political fold in this district for a long time. And that's because those are our values. Our values is to speak for the most vulnerable, is to create a solidarity and a safe space for people to come and speak about what their issues are without being judged, and reflect what their needs are with a justice lens into what we're fighting for on our policy.
Have you talked to any of those voters directly?
Of course.
If you could share some personal stories, that'd be great.
Sure, I'll share with you one from today.
Go ahead.
A voter called. His name is Ed. He said, "Hi, is this the Ihsanne Leckey for Congress campaign?" I said, "Sure it is." And he said, "Well, I received your mail, and you might not agree with everything that's on it, but there's something about you, about your background, both as a regulator and as your ethnic background," which I think he means being a woman of color, "that we need right now. And so I'm going to vote for you."
Mm-hmm.
And I say to him, I'm really grateful. And I said, it's an honor to have earned your vote. And it's an honor that you saw the mailer and you called me. And one thing that really stuck with him is that I picked up the phone, because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. I pick up the phone. When people call my campaign, they're calling me. Unless I'm on another call where somebody else picks up, and I tell them, we got to follow up. I'm here to speak with the constituents. That's how I look to serve. He was so happy and delighted that he didn't have to go through the hurdles of campaign on get to and that's how I look to serve when I'm Congresswoman mm-hmm. of this district, is to have that dialogue. But that's, it really warmed up my heart to get that phone call from Ed, and to hear his concerns. And his concerns were, he said, your policies might be a little bit too far to the left for some voters, but he said he wasn't too concerned because we live in very different times, and we live in a time where the most important thing is to run a positive campaign, is to really go for the hearts of people and be a good listener. If you just drop the words on people and the jargon on people, they might not get it in a district where political organizing hasn't been happening for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to educate as we get to the voters and we have those conversations.
I see. I do want to talk about something that came up in the Monday night debate that was last week. And I know you probably get a lot of questions about it, but it's it's where you had to put. You said to help the voters, really help this campaign. I put some of my own money, and I may be screwing this up, by the way. I put in some of my own funds in my campaign. Now, I personally have no issue with self-funding. A lot of candidates do that. But my question is, why didn't you say that earlier? And what exactly do you mean by helping out people who can't fund? Like, surely they can spend maybe $1.
Oh, it's been all over the news. Not that I didn't say it earlier. We posted it on our reporting of the quarter, especially a quarter where we've been hit by COVID-19. And I was, doing what can't have to do without the public funding of campaigns is that you have to call people and ask that they fund your campaign. And so I was making the calls, and usually, I ask people for a few dollars, and they were like, I lost my job. I got pink slipped. I got laid off. And so I felt that for a campaign like ours that has been running on a shoestring for so long, can't let that just die because people who have been supporting us and supporting the policies that they need the most have lost their jobs and lost their health insurance. And so that becomes a moral obligation for me to use every success that I've had in my life, every privilege that I have, to make up for them, to fight for them, and to say, you know what, I'm not going to let your voice be sold to the corporate PACs and lobbyists to this race and have been funding my opponents. I will not let that slide by. And if that meant digging into my own into my own life savings and giving, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give, and I'm here to protect my constituents.
I see. Well, we are running out of time, so I do want to pose one more question. Are you ready for this election night? Are you going to be excited or maybe even a little nervous, because that sometimes happens? Are you ready, Ihsanne Leckey, to face September 1st?
Oh, I think the people are ready. The people are ready to have, for the first time in the history of District 4th of Massachusetts, a woman of color, a Muslim woman, a fighter who has fought against the biggest corporations and the biggest banks on Wall Street, to get them out of the way so that we can pass policies that will give policies like Medicare for all, like a Green New Deal, like getting corporate money out of politics, like universal childcare and pre-K, like canceling student debt, like rebuilding our economy with a green economic recovery plan, getting people the COVID-19 relief they need immediately to make sure they have $2,000 a month to put food on the table, making sure that our workers have adequate PPE and our hospitals are not shutting down, so we can track, and making sure that vaccines are distributed at no cost, so that we can tackle the COVID-19 pandemic and go into that economic recovery that saves our planet along the way. So I'm very, very excited about September 1st.
Ihsanne Leckey, thank you for joining us on WCCS, and thank you all for listening to this wonderful series that we have produced. I don't know where it will go from here, but thank you all for listening, and thank you, Ihsanne Leckey, for being our grand finale for this series.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
Adam.